Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Boardgame Kaan, and this is To Back or Not To Back, where we're going to go through a variety of crowdfunding campaigns, talking about the games, the campaigns, the pledge levels, the stretch goals, all of that and more, and of course, should you back it or not. This is going to be a short week. This week we have 11 campaigns to go through. Of those 11, 3 of them are like the board game adjacent category, so that's really only 8 games to go through today, 8 campaigns to go through, so it should be a shorter episode on that half an hour side or so. But with that, let's, as usual, start off with our Cult of the Now. We're about to dive into a whole bunch of crowdfunding games, and yes, they are very tempting and appealing in all kinds of different ways, but sometimes there are games you can get now, hence the Cult of the Now. There are games you can get now without paying those premium prices, without paying and waiting a year and a half, without knowing less reviews about the game. You can go ahead and check out stuff right now, and right now we have Dice Throne Marvel, the Deadpool Deluxe expansion, so if you missed out on the Dice Throne campaign, it's finally delivering whatnot, the whole X-Men and X-Men missions and all that. Actually, I don't know exactly when the campaign's delivering, but retail does have some of its options available, so if you want Dice Throne Marvel, specifically Deadpool, you can go ahead and check it out on Game Nerds. With that, let's go ahead and start off with our board game adjacent category. We have Gamelax EKET, EKET, upgrade your bookcase to an epic game collection, 137 backers, €6,000 raised so far. This is a 3D print accessory kind of situation. You're 3D printing things that will fit into your board game bookshelf, specifically designed for Gamelax and EKET shelves specifically, possibly others as well. But we have Game Your Bookcase, digital files to store your games in the most user-friendly way with horizontal storage, compatible with Gamelax, EKET, and more. That's going to be basically giving you a variety of systems of ways to get things into your shelves, utilizing existing common board game shelves, and then printing a variety of accessories for you. There's a variety of pledge levels here, from the full bundle to the EKET Plus over here, because they did have a previous campaign, so if you need new stuff or old stuff, or even the Meeple Keepers over here, this board game tabletopper, there's a variety of options for you, but again, these are not actual, things themselves. They're the 3D print files, so you can go ahead and 3D print them, and then at higher tiers, you can even go ahead and sell those things that you're printing as well. So if you have a 3D printer, or if you know a friend that has a 3D printer and you want to print all these cool stuff, go ahead and check it out. I will say my own 2 cents on it. Looking at some of these shelf dividers, the way they are structurally printed does seem that they have some bend to them, some fold, and that's not something that would work for me, unfortunately. That would bother the heck out of me, seeing like a little bit of a dip, a bend in my board game shelf. That said, some of the other things they have do look very cool. I'm intrigued, but not enough to go ahead and get it myself. But with that, moving on over here, we have the ABC Boardgame Backpack 2.0. Your game night expanded, 441 backers, $75,000 raised, 24 days to go. This is their, I think, 3rd game bag campaign. They have like 14 designs over here, 14 campaigns, but I think this is their 3rd one specifically focused around the board game bag, and specifically this is the Board Game Backpack 2.0. So this takes all the things they learned in their first Board Game Backpack and makes the second Board Game Backpack new, improved, better, all of those things. This is not a cheap backpack considering the various game backpacks on the market. Obviously, my go-to recommendation is generally the all-play one. I think that is incredible. They have, well, this is not going to be an ad for all-play. I like my all-play backpack, but I've enjoyed the variety of other backpacks as well. This one does look very premium, but also not cheap, giving you a whole lot of features. You can go ahead and check out the video. The video does a good job breaking down what you're getting for it. The pledge levels over here start off as small as £140 for this, but keep in mind this is specifically for a more limited pledge level. You're not getting all the everything in this, and then going all the way up to 134. Is it all 134? No, there's different options. Where am I? 154 is the ABC backpack. There's different options here. Oh, these are the early birds. That's right. I'm scrolling down to the early birds and missing out on those. Yeah, there's going to be different pledge levels over here giving you different options. You have the small go-to game pack, the full expanded version for a convention, and then, you have this extra pack that fits inside of it to give you even more storage options. Again, I can't give you any testimonials or anything about this. It looks cool. I don't know anyone who has one, but it does look cool, and this is their 2nd time or 3rd time running a board game backpack on crowdfunding. Moving on, we have the introducing Tabletopia over here. Tabletopia, the gaming table. 10 backers, $12,000 raised, 25 days to go. Tabletopia coming to you from GameHub, who previously did a Dice Tower accessory thing before, and now they're doing a full board game table. And I was going to say, initially when I was looking at this campaign, I was going to say like, oh, well, I'm sure someone's told them that Tabletopia is already a thing, but I only see one comment over here, and even then, I don't see that one comment, so I'm not sure if anyone has told them that Tabletopia is an existing name for a digital board game platform. Think Tabletop Simulator, but there's Tabletopia that already exists. This is Tabletopia for the physical version. So now you have to defer between the physical and the digital versions of Tabletopia. Either way, this is a board game table. I won't heavily go through all the features. It's the usual thing you should expect to see from one of these videos, showing you all the accessories, and then the alternation between playing a board game and an RPG, and covering it up so you can go ahead and take a break and have pizza. All those usual features, not to in any way minimize those features. They're very, very good, and they're very essential in any board game table you might want for yourself. It's just, I don't know, when you get to a certain point and the features, I will say actually, their leaf storage does look different than typical leaf storages, although I'm not sure if it's better or not. I think the vertical storage option and the little leaf queue, I think, is a more functional space. It's functional as far as the space needs of the table, versus this does look cooler, but I don't know if it's as functional as far as trying to be conservative on space. Either way, it's a board game table. Go ahead and check it out. Lots of options over here, lots of size options. Shipping is estimated around $300, of course, depending on your region, where you are, and all that. It looks cool. It's a board game table. If you need a board game table, this should be one of the options that's on your radar. Moving on to the board game campaign, starting off with Granfondo, the thrilling racing game. 343 backers, 24,000 euro raised. Granfondo is a game which you're going to be controlling 3 cyclists, all specialized in climbing, sprinting, and long distance, as you fight for position and try to win the races over here. And yes, there's doping. Yes, no, literally, there's actually doping in this racing game as well. There is the concept of doping in the game. Just be mindful to not get caught when you dope in the game. So there's going to be that as well. Past that, it has the typical things you'd expect to see from a game like this, although I guess you might not expect to see anything from a game like this. But you're going to have the racing, the card play, you're going to have the slipstreaming and all of those things. From what I can see at a surface level, it does look fairly similar to Flamme Rouge. I hope I'm saying that correctly. But then again, I don't know either game really well, so just surface level similarities definitely align a bit with Flamme Rouge, although I don't know if Flamme Rouge had doping, but I don't know all the key differences between the games. But it's a racing game. It's a racing game focusing on cyclists that you can go ahead and check out. There's a few pledge levels over here. This is the €85 pledge level for the deluxe 1 to 6 player gameplay all in. That's going to be giving you the base game stretch goals, the expansion stretch goals, and then both playmats for the game. That's what you get for $85 over here. I think that's pretty correct. Let me just make sure. The game board playmats for the game. For €40, you have the base pledge over here, just giving you the base game and the base stretch goals. For €55, you get the winner pledge, giving you the gameplay content and stretch goals, but not the playmats. And then the champion pledge seems the most interesting to me, coming in at €70. I guess there's 59 people pledging at this one over here. This one gives you one of the playmats, but not both playmat, which is interesting to me. I'd imagine you'd probably want both if you're into the playmat, and alternatively you'd want neither, but I guess I'm just wrong. I don't know. I was curious about that. Anyways, past that over here, you have additional base pledges over here for add-ons, you have the various stretch goals and all that, and shipping is going to run you, if I recall correctly, around €20. USA over here, 15 to €20, depending on the pledge level you're going to get over here for the campaign. That's going to be Granfondo. As far as should you back or should you not will hold its value, it's going to be true for a lot of the campaigns we talk about today, but I'm just not seeing a lot of demand on this one, and that's true for, again, a lot of the campaigns we talk today are going to fall into that general aspect of it's probably not going to hold its value in the secondhand market. If there's not a certain level of demand on crowdfunding, that usually translates into the same lack of demand down the road, and when you factor in the price points of the games plus shipping, honestly, there's very, very little today. I think there's nothing that I would say in today's episode of Two Back Not To Back. I don't believe there are any campaigns that I would say I'm comfortable saying that they'll hold the value. At best, there's one that falls into the question mark tier, which we'll get to as we go through these games. Moving on to Vineyard, a winemaking game. 210 backers, 8 days to go, $10,000 raised over here. Vineyard's coming to you from Pencil First Games and gives you a shared worker placement and action selection game. In the game, you're working together to make wine, but I said working together, you are not actually working together. Rather, you happen to be, well, I guess you are working together, but you're in it for yourself. This is not a semi-co-op game. This is all about you contributing to the production of the wine and trying to make sure that you get, well, as many points as possible for the steps you take, from planting to harvesting to crushing the grapes to aging the wine, all these various steps that you're doing with the shared workers in the game. Every time you take a step, you're contributing to the winemaking and noting that with a heart, and then as you load it onto the truck to fulfill orders, you'll score based on contribution in general, plus any specifics around the truck that you're loading. The game plays out across kind of 3 eras, so to speak. Each time you load a truck, you move on to the next tier of the barrels and the train cards, but past that, you're working on your own asymmetric board as far as how you're going to level up your own workers to be better at different actions, because even though you share workers, you can level up how good you are with a particular worker as you go through it. So there's a degree of improving your personal tableau, there's a degree of improving your deck that you're going to be using to drive cards, there's working together-ish, again, not really working together, working within a shared environment, I should say. You're working in a shared environment, having a combined impact, but you are definitely not working together. You are trying to win this game in this competitive game as you, well, take actions, move workers, do all that, and try to win. The game comes with 3 modules baked into the game. We have the unique flavors, the Arena of the Apprentice, and Jasper the Cat. There's also a solo mode, as well as the local news free mini expansion, giving you, doing it for crowdfunding. This is a free mini expansion that's going to give to anyone who backs the game through crowdfunding for free with each copy. As far as the pledge level, speaking of backing, we have $50 for the base game over here. We have $95 for a winemaking duo to share a pledge with a friend, so to speak. And then past that, we have the Pencil First Games bundle for $95, giving you Vineyard, plus Herbaceous and Floriferous, and the various extras for all of those in one pledge. As far as shipping over here, shipping is going to run you around, well, for the, again, Zone 1 over here for USA, going to run you between $15 to $19, depending on what pledge level you get. Bring us to the should you back it, should you not? Will it hold its value? I'm skeptical it will. I just think that in general, again, Pencil First Games, their games have done okay as far as the secondhand market goes, but this is one which I'm skeptical will hold its value when you factor in the price of the game plus shipping on the campaign. Moving on, we have Bark Avenue, Kings and Queens, and Concrete Jungle. 645 backers, $37,000 raised, 10 days to go. Bark Avenue is an expansion. Well, Bark Avenue, I should be specific. Bark Avenue Kings and Queens is an expansion to Bark Avenue, and Bark Avenue Concrete Jungle is a little mini pack of various pets and critters, different types of critters that will be added to the game as well. Bark Avenue is functionally a pick up and deliver game, themed around being dog walkers in the bar, dog walkers who are walking various dogs around New York City, and then being mindful of any number of different things, from the activities they like, from picking up their poop, all the various things you're trying to do as you manage your dog walking experience. It functionally operates as a pick up and deliver as you kind of wander around the board to accomplish your goals. Kings and Queens is going to give you some modular expansions to the game. This is an expansion to it. Kings and Queens is bringing you the double dog cards. We have to manage a double dog card all at once as you walk around. We have to manage, they have shared destinations, but different activities that they're going to be want to engage in. So you have to be mindful of that as you take your hand, take those double dog cards into your board. We have the more player interaction, a new borough map board giving you a worker placement little mini game as well built into the system, and then you have asymmetric abilities giving you one-time or permanent effects that other players don't have as you go through the game. That's what you get for that expansion. Concrete Jungle gives you a 27-card mini expansion, which gives you a whole menagerie of different animals, from cats to lizards to any number of different things, all legal pets to own in New York. It's actually funny, they have a variety of pledge tiers for this game are going to focus around ways to give you a way to get your pet into the game. But they're very specific as far as the categories, from either more dogs or more cats, or alternatively a variety of other pets that all have to be New York legal. Like, they're not taking pets in the game that aren't legal pets in New York because they're trying to be thematic while also allowing you to incorporate your pet into the game, which in the base game, by the way, already has a ton of pets of various people. People have the opportunity to get their dog into the base game. Past that, the pledge levels over here, Kings and Queens, is going to be $22 for the expansion over here. We have $35, which is going to give you the upgrade kit, basically. $35 over here gives you the expansion as well as the upgrade kit in case you got your game at retail. So if you got Bark Avenue at retail, you didn't get the Kickstarter extras, this gives you a way to get those little squishy poops plus everything else. Yes, I said squishy poops, that's really an upgrade in this game, into your game over here. We have Bark Avenue Deluxe plus Kings and Queens for $69. I should note the expansion is compatible with retail and the deluxe version of the game, so it's basically just it's compatible in both versions. And then we have over here your reptile or amphibian. All these pledge levels and higher represent ways of getting your animal into the game, and if you ever see one of these full, go ahead and check it out later, because some of them will be available later. You can see over here for reptiles or amphibians, there's 5 of 6 left. If you want your mammal in there but not cats, 1 of 7 left. Birds in there, 3 out of 5 left, and then your dog is unfortunately taken, and your cat is unfortunately taken. Although, of course, if those do free up, keep your eye on this page to see if those become available at a later point. As far as shipping on the game over here, shipping is going to run you, we have USA Lower 48 for $9 for the game, and then a variety of other pledge levels over here, for a variety of other locations. As far as should you back or should you not will hold its value, I'm skeptical it will. The original Bark Avenue on crowdfunding, copies of the game go for generally half or a little bit more compared to what people paid for it on crowdfunding. So in general, I'd say this is less likely to hold its value. Picking up at retail is probably your best option as far as getting it at the cheapest price point. Obviously, it depends on where you are, region, location, all of that. But if you do have a way of getting it at retail, that's probably the best way to get your hands on this, outside, of course, all the extra stuff. If you want those extra goodies to make your standard version deluxe, if you want to get your pet into the game, those are all different reasons, or, of course, supporting the creator, or getting it sooner. Moving on, we have Paranormal, the solo game of the month from Gabe Barrett over here. Defeat the monsters of the week to gain weapons, allies, and clues as you hunt down the big bad and save the world. Honestly, there's not a lot more to say. That's really what the game is. 1,300 backers over here, $34,000 raised. You're going to be operating on this little board over here as you try to power up your character, preparing for taking down the big boss in this game, in this solo or two-player game that plays in roughly 45 minutes. Over here, past that, outside of that, there's not really a lot to go into. This is the typical solo game of the month club from Gabe Barrett. And as far as the pledge levels, we have $25 for the game, we have $5 for the print and play, and shipping is going to run you $5 or $6 depending on the location that you're in. As far as should you back or should you not, the same usual things I say about these campaigns for the solo game of the month, which is, in general, I am skeptical that they will hold their value. There will always be the occasional ones that are really well received and really well liked that will be hard to track down, and it will hold the value, but for the most part, these are usually about getting the easiest access to it and supporting the creator, but they're less likely to hold their value, although they are often likely harder to track down on the secondhand market. Moving on to Fateforge Chronicles of Kaan, new expansion and second printing over here. A story-driven co-op adventure game for 1 to 4 players with a video, by the way. Definitely check out this video. This is one of the best crowdfunding videos I've seen in a while, and there's usually a lot of good crowdfunding videos. This one was just absolute top tier. But we have 2,400 backers, $220,000 raised, 15 days to go in this expansion and reprint to Fateforge Chronicles of Kaan, which have been incredibly well received. Coming in at 8.4 on Boardgame Geek, people have been liking this game a lot as far as the story, as far as the app integration, as far as the tactical nature of the scenarios, as far as the ease of play, the accessibility, as far as giving you hour-long sessions, not these massive sprawling sessions, and making it fairly easy to set up and tear down and generally manage compared to what you generally get out of these big box campaign experiences. So there's been a lot of positive praise around the experience from people playing the game, from content creators, from Polygon, from any number of different sources talking about how well this game has been received. This campaign over here is going to give you a reprint of the campaign, as well as the expansion, the Warden's Pledge, giving you the Kin of the Wild expansion, plus all exclusive and stretch goals for €35. The Adventurer's Pledge over here is going to be €99. That's going to give you the base game over here, plus the Boss Miniature set, plus the Metal Beastmaster Medallion. The Boss Miniature and the Metal Beastmaster Medallion are the Kickstarter extras as opposed to getting this in retail. And then for the Emperor's All-In Pledge at €164, you'll get the deluxe base game, the pet expansion, and the Kickstarter exclusives. That's going to give you all of that together to give you all the stuff for the campaign over here. And then past that, you have the Merchant's Pledge over here, which is basically just a retailer option, giving you multiple copies of the game to go ahead and sell those as a retailer. Not really relevant for most of us over here. That's the basics over here. As far as the game itself, the game is an app-integrated dungeon crawler, campaign game with a story, wandering around the board, setting up individual encounters, tactically trying to outmaneuver the encounters. You're going to have your characters with their abilities, and the tactical aspect of the game was easily my favorite part of the game experience in terms of trying to figure out the puzzle of how to utilize your abilities, how do you have the other players utilize their abilities as you try to figure out how you're going to survive each encounter. It really felt more like a mini puzzle than a full-on dungeon crawler, but I mean that in a positive way, not in a negative way. I like the puzzly nature of trying to figure out how to get your way through any individual encounter. That's the basics as far as the campaign goes. Again, it's an expansion and reprint. Lots of content out there around the game if you want to check it out. And then as far as shipping goes, shipping will run you €14 to €24 depending on where you are, what pledge level you get, all of that. Well, I guess technically depending on where you are, it's €14 to €110, $14.24 in the US, plus a variety of other options depending on where you are. As far as should you back or should you not will hold its value, honestly, because of how well the game has been received, I thought it would be doing better on the secondhand market, but it hasn't been from the pledges I've seen. On the secondhand market on BGG, I've seen a lot of people who are able to sell their pledges, who were selling the pledges for much less than they paid for them, and so typically when you have a game like this with exclusive content that you can only get at crowdfunding that is being incredibly well received, usually I would say, yes, this should hold its value. But just currently, based on the pledges I'm seeing, I have to put it in the camp of I'm far less confident that it will, because so far the pledges that I've seen have not been going for what people pay for them and more. So even this one, which I would have been more optimistic about, I have to go with a less likely to hold this value. Moving on over here, we have StarDriven Gateway with a giant white screen as it loads. StarDriven Gateway, 870 backers, $142,000 raised, 19 days to go, coming to you from Rock Manor Games. StarDriven Gateway gives you Mass Effect or Star Trek or any of those kind of giant space exploration series, but in a board game form. That's the pitch anyway. The actual game itself is going to be focused around trying to to activate your various characters, move around the board, accomplishing various missions, and trying to get as many points as possible as you go through this kind of sandboxy experience. It's a little sandboxy. It's not fully sandboxy. There's multiple ways you can get points, multiple things you can do, and a lot you're trying to balance, especially around the crew. The crew is a big factor of the game as far as getting crew and activating those crew and powering up your crew to most fully take advantage of the board state and how to, well, drive endgame, get the points you need, all of that. You can check out a variety of content around the game on the campaign page. Check out, there's a gameplay on my channel if you want to check that out. Lots of content out there for this game. It's basically action selection, dice-driven action selection as you wander around the galaxy and try to do it better than the other players. Oh, and it's scenario driven. There's different scenarios you can go through. There's solo, I don't know if there's co-op, I don't remember if there's co-op, but there's solo, and then a variety of multiplayer scenarios as well. The pledge levels for the game are going to be $65 for the core game over here. That also gives you the Aftermath pack. That's what you're getting on crowdfunding for backing it here. The gameplay all in gives you $96. In fact, we have the Aftermath pack over here. Let me see if we can find what's in it over here. The Aftermath pack includes 3 new competitive episodes, 18 mission cards, and 5 community voted promo crew cards. So that's what you're getting in this Aftermath pack, which is what you're getting for the back in the game on crowdfunding. We have the base pledge for $65, giving you the base game plus the Aftermath pack. We have the $96 for the gameplay all in, giving you the expansion, the Aftermath pack, and the base game. And then the Invasion expansion includes 18 episode missions, well, all the things you can see over here. Various miniatures, missions, Dreadnought anomalies, co-op objectives, so there you go, there's your co-op, Warbound outpost miniatures, Warbound objectives, terror tokens, all of these things are being given in the Invasion expansion. And for $129, you're getting all of that, but you're also getting the deluxe upgrade. So exploration chips, acrylic damage tokens, acrylic rep tokens, and custom damage dice. Those are all the extra things you're getting in this third box over here for $129 for all of that. And then lastly, this $299 over here, although I don't believe this is available anymore. I think this is only the first 72 hours. Yeah, they're all gone over here. This was basically an option to go ahead and buy into the subsequent games that will be in this series, because this is a series of 3 games: StarDriven Colony, StarDriven Gateway, that's this campaign, and StarDriven Saga, which is going to be a cooperative roguelike survival game. And StarDriven Colony is a wonderful player colony building game where you're competing to govern colonies, constructing new buildings, and all of that. That's basically what we have on the campaign. Shipping is going to run you over here, again, depending where you're from, but in the US it's going to be $16 to $20, depending on the pledge level you're getting, on top of the, what was it, 65 to 125, I think it was. Let me see if I can scroll down and find that again. 65 to $125 to $129 for the various pledges. As far as should actually not will hold its value, I'm skeptical it will. The campaign's doing pretty decently overall, but in general, Rock Manor games, they're all in Kickstarter extras, all that, generally have not done a great job holding their value. In general, if you want to guarantee access to them, this is obviously the best way to do it. If you want to support the creator, get it sooner, all of that. But for the most part, their games on the secondhand market have done well enough, but usually not getting your money back if you find that it's not a game system that works for you. Moving on, again from a new creator, we have Siberian Manhunt. 555 backers, $37,000 raised, 22 days to go. A cat and mouse game of pursuit and survival in the frozen wilds of Siberia. This is basically a hidden movement game for 2 players, based on historical events, which a U-2 pilot's going to be down behind enemy lines, hunted by the KGB, and one player is playing as the pilot trying to escape, and the other player is playing as the KGB trying to hunt them down. The pilot is trying to scrounge for survival in the wilderness. There's going to be you can't really see it on this shot over here, but every spot over here has various numbers in them. So you're moving around the board. Think games like Scotland Yard, Letters from Whitechapel, all of that. But you're moving around the board as the pilot trying to stay hidden while the KGB tries to track you, and any number of things can slowly start leaving you open and exposed as the pilot. Whether you're scrounging for supplies in the village and somebody sees you, depending on whether they're more loyal to the regime or not, they might report you. From the various tools the KGB can utilize to try to track your movements and what you've been doing and where you've been going. It's basically a Letters from Whitechapel style hidden movement game where one player is trying to stay alive and out of reach, and the other player is trying to track them down and entrap them. Has a lot of thematics. By the way, speaking of videos, the video over here, worth a watch as well. It's a little campy, it's a little cheesy, but it does so in a way that's actually very informative and educational as well. So if you have 4 or 5 minutes and you want to get a good feel for the feeling that this game will evoke and the things you can do along the way, the options you have from both sides, it's really worth spending 4 minutes on the video if this game is in any way on your radar. But that's basically what we have over here. It's a 2-player hidden movement game, another new one over here from Dangerous Games. As far as the pledge levels, we have €45 for the standard edition of the game, and then we have €60 for the deluxe edition of the game with the premium component upgrades and all that. And then shipping is going to run you around $9 in the UK, but in the US you're looking at $23 for the game. That's going to add to the game price a decent amount, considering you're looking at, what is it? You're looking at €23 for shipping over here, $23 for shipping, and you're looking at around $48 in the base game. So the base game, you're basically putting a full half onto the price, and the premium version of the game, it's not as big of a chunk, but obviously you have to want that as well. As far as the should you back or should you not will hold its value, harder to say on this one. I still think instinctively no. 550 backers is good, and we do have 22 days to go, so it could go as high as 1,000 backers or whatnot, but nonetheless, there's not a ton of demand for this one, and you factor in that shipping is going to eat up a good chunk of the price of the game. Usually that translates into a game having less of a chance of holding its value overall. So if you want to support the creator, if you want to guarantee access, those are great reasons to go ahead and back this campaign. But if you are wondering if your game will hold this value, if it's not a game for you, I would say less likely over here. And that brings us lastly to Terminus Frontier. Terminus Frontier is going to be our last campaign of the day. 586 backers, $131,000 raised, 24 days to go. This is a cooperative board game of tactical squad combat, space exploration, story choices. Basically think Gloomhaven in space. Although I think that they said Gloomhaven in space when they were doing, oh my gosh, what's the game? Stars of Icarus. Stars of Icarus was pitched as Gloomhaven in space. So not Gloomhaven in space, but it's got that big box campaign game experience. You are going to have individual sessions or scenarios as you go through like these dungeon crawler kind of encounters, trying to plan your character's actions, trying to plan their initiative, take down the enemies, manage your ammunition, a whole lot of different mechanics going into the gameplay experience over here. But then you're also going to be wandering through space. You're also going to be making narrative choices and having conversations and outcomes and all that. You're going to be tracking your space in the binder and giving you a binder that tracks the actual space cards and the situation in the board itself. So you kind of have, you have narrative encounters, you have moving through space, and then you have the individual dungeon crawler scenarios, the episodes, where you're going to be taking your squad and then managing your weapons, your ammo, your actions, all of that, your initiative, as you try to take down the enemies. This is not one that I've had a chance to play myself. I know Meg has played it on the channel. There's coverage on Boardgame Co if you want to check that out. And I know overall she was pretty positive in this one. She really liked what she saw with this campaign. Those are my words from my impressions of her, so take it with a grain of salt. But she seemed to be very interested in this in the gameplay of this. But basically that's what we have over here. That's what we have as far as Terminus Frontier. Outside of that, anything else to cover? We have the shipping. Oh, we should do the pledge levels. Pledge levels first. Where are the pledge levels? Pledge levels over here, $125 for the Hunter Pledge. That's going to be the core game, so you can't get it anything else. $200 MSRP. Take that with a grain of salt. They do say that this is less likely to come to retail. If it does come to retail, prices are likely going to be closer to the MSRP or higher. That does make sense. These kinds of big box experiences generally have a harder time pitching at retail. Think games like Agamonia that were like $100 on Kickstarter, and then $200 when you look at retail. Big box experiences have a harder time justifying their existence in retail because they don't fall into the typical margins you find as far as the costs of games and how retail tends to work. So that MSRP, take it with a grain of salt because there's no actual retail right now, but if it does go out at retail, it will probably be more expensive. The Hunter Pledge is going to be the core game. That's basically what you need to play this. There's nothing cheaper than that. The Frontier Pledge is $225. That gives you the additional miniatures box, giving you 48 additional miniatures, enemies, bosses, and characters for additional $100 on the game. And then the Commander Pledge for $335 is going to give you the expansion, the Engineer and 5th Player expansion, as well as the Terrain and Colonist box, giving you more terrain, 3D, more miniature scenery basically, the Star Atlas binder, and the 4 Neophene player mats, basically giving you kind of all the goodies all together for $335. Although you could get those various goodies individually if you want to get some of them, but not all of them. Like if you don't care about the Star Atlas binder, but you do want the Terrain and Colonist box, maybe you don't care about the Engineer and 5 player expansion because you're never going to play this game with 5 players, so maybe you don't get that. Those are all options on you as far as kind of building your own pledge, putting together what you want for what works best for you. Past that, there were also some freebies in the campaign, so some things you can get over here. Let's see if I can scroll down to where they are. There were some stuff you can get on the campaign for free that you'd have to pay for later. Where was that? The drift miniatures. There was stuff over here in the campaign that you can get if you get them for free now. There we go. The Kickstarter free gift, the Zeroed In Operative Alternate Miniature Add-on. You can get this if you get the Hunter Pledge or higher doing the Kickstarter campaign, you'll get this for free. Otherwise, it'll cost money. Similarly, the Weapons and Gear Pack, the free mini expansion when you pledge on Kickstarter, and it'll be cost more as an add-on in the after the crowdfunding campaign in the Pledge Manager. It'll cost $6 as an add-on. So both of these, you're saving money if you get them now. Saving money is a relative term. Basically, they're trying trying to incentivize people to back doing crowdfunding as opposed to backing down the road, backing doing the pledge manager or later, all of that. As far as shipping will run you around $45 in the US for the pledge levels, same price across the board, but obviously that does add a hefty chunk. That means your base entry point for the game is $125 plus 100 plus 45. You're looking at $170, the lowest price point you have to go ahead and get your hands on this game. Which brings us to the should you back or should you not, will it hold its value? It's always hard. These kinds of games, like you see these big box experiences come out every year, but they don't tend to do as well as the giant epic, $1 million Gloomhaven ones. It's harder and harder to pull that kind of audience, and the games are expensive. And so this is expensive. It may well be incredibly well received, may have a passionate audience, but in general, these things are having a harder time pulling that critical mass needed. And again, down the road, do I see someone paying $170 to get your copy if you find out it's not a game that works for you? Probably not, especially the shipping being $45. The perceptual value on this will be $125, which means you'll probably be eating the shipping if you find out it's not a game for you. So as far as will it hold its value, I'm less certain it will. As far as supporting the creator, getting it earlier, guaranteeing access, all of that, especially with only 586 backers, there are still reasons to back, but as far as the holding its value, I'm skeptical it will. And that's kind of everything we have today, which means it's time for our picks of the week. Picks of the week is going to be the game that I'm most personally interested in, as well as the game that I think is most likely to hold its value. And to that end, I'm going to give my personal interest pick of the week first, and that's going to be Terminus Frontier. I haven't had a chance to play this one, but like I said already, I've heard good things. It looks cool, it looks interesting. The campaign part has me nervous. Is it one I would really commit to or not? Harder to say, but overall, the gameplay does look cool and engaging, and I am interested in it, so that's going to be my personal interest pick of the week. But as far as value pick of the week, I don't think I can pick anything this week. I don't think there's anything here this week that we covered that I'm confident enough will hold its value, that crowdfunding is the best place to go ahead and back it. So this week we are going to be skipping our value pick of the week. Which means it's time to cover the campaigns coming up next week. Launching tomorrow, we have Northgard, Uncharted Horizons, 7,000 people following the campaign over here. This should be launching, well, tomorrow, giving you the newest expansion to Northgard. And then over on GameFound, we have Star Trek Ascendancy, The Final Frontier, 18,000 people following this campaign, giving you Star Trek Ascendancy, giant big box, new trailers, expansions, all of that coming to you from Gale Force 9, launching tomorrow as well. And that is everything. That is your to back or not to back. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Boardgame Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one. I listened to a podcast last week on the Dunning-Kruger effect, and so I think it's safe to say that I'm an expert now.